Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing the people who drain your energy are suddenly gone from your life. What if I told you it's not luck, it's a choice? And I'm going to show you exactly how to make it happen. Mastering the art of setting invisible boundaries is one of the most powerful skills you can develop in life, especially when it comes to keeping toxic people at bay. These boundaries are not physical walls or dramatic confrontations. They are subtle, yet firm lines that define what you will accept, tolerate, or engage with in your personal and professional life. Setting these invisible boundaries begins with self-awareness. You need to understand yourself deeply. What drains you? What energizes you? What triggers your anger, frustration, or anxiety? And what fills you with joy and peace? This self-awareness is the foundation upon which all healthy boundaries are built. When you know where your limits lie, you can act decisively without feeling guilty or over-apologetic. Many people struggle with setting boundaries because they fear conflict or rejection. They worry that if they say no to someone, the other person will hate them, leave them, or see them as selfish. But here's the truth: boundaries are not selfish. They are essential. They are an expression of self-respect and self-love. By setting boundaries, you communicate clearly what behavior you will accept and what behavior you will not. You teach others how to treat you without having to explain or justify yourself constantly. Invisible boundaries work silently yet powerfully because they allow you to disengage from negativity without creating unnecessary drama. The first step to implementing invisible boundaries is recognizing toxic patterns. Toxic people often engage in manipulative, draining, or disrespectful behaviors. They may gossip, criticize without reason, or constantly seek attention and validation at your expense. They may try to make you feel guilty, responsible for their emotions, or inadequate in some way. By identifying these patterns, you can begin to understand which interactions require boundaries. Once you see these behaviors clearly, you can make conscious choices about how you respond instead of reacting impulsively. Setting invisible boundaries often involves adjusting your emotional and mental responses rather than confronting the person directly. For instance, when someone tries to provoke you, you can choose not to react. When someone demands your time or energy unnecessarily, you can politely decline. When someone spreads negativity, you can disengage without needing to argue or defend yourself. This subtle approach ensures that you remain calm, collected, and in control, while the toxic person eventually loses interest because their usual tactics no longer work on you. Another critical aspect of invisible boundaries is managing your availability. This does not mean cutting off everyone from your life or becoming cold and distant. It means being selective about where and with whom you invest your energy. Time and energy are finite resources, and when you allocate them wisely, toxic people naturally lose influence over you. You create a space where only positive, supportive, and mutually respectful relationships thrive. Over time, this practice not only reduces stress and conflict, but also elevates your overall sense of well-being. Communication plays a subtle but crucial role in invisible boundaries. While you may not need to confront someone aggressively, clear communication ensures that your limits are understood. This can be as simple as stating, "I'm not comfortable discussing this topic," or "I need some time to focus on my priorities." These statements are assertive without being confrontational. They signal that you value your peace and well-being, and they set the tone for how others interact with you. Consistency is key. If you waver or allow your boundaries to be crossed repeatedly, they lose their effectiveness. The moment you enforce your boundaries consistently, people begin to respect them instinctively. It's also important to recognize that setting invisible boundaries is a form of self-empowerment. You reclaim control over your life by deciding how you engage with others. Toxic people often thrive on chaos, drama, and emotional manipulation because it gives them a sense of power. By maintaining your boundaries, you remove their power over you. You become the center of your emotional universe rather than a reactive participant in theirs. This empowerment fosters confidence, inner peace, and clarity, allowing you to pursue your goals and passions without unnecessary interference. Boundaries also create a ripple effect in your environment. When others see that you respect yourself and enforce your limits, they are inspired to do the same in their own lives. You model healthy behavior that encourages mutual respect and accountability. This doesn't mean everyone will immediately comply, but over time, the people who are meant to stay in your life will adjust to your standards naturally. Those who cannot respect your boundaries will gradually distance themselves, which is precisely what you want when dealing with toxicity. An essential element of invisible boundaries is learning to differentiate between guilt and responsibility. Many people feel guilty for asserting their limits, believing that accommodating others is a moral obligation. However, being responsible does not mean sacrificing your well-being. You can care for others while maintaining your own emotional and mental health. Recognizing this distinction allows you to enforce boundaries without feeling remorse, knowing that you are protecting yourself and, ultimately, creating healthier interactions for everyone involved. Invisible boundaries are also flexible. They are not rigid walls, but adaptive frameworks that grow with your self-awareness and experiences. As you encounter different people and situations, you learn which boundaries need to be stronger, which can be relaxed, and which are non-negotiable. This flexibility ensures that you remain open to meaningful relationships while filtering out toxicity effectively. Over time, the practice of invisible boundaries becomes second nature, a quiet force that shapes your life without constant effort. Finally, it's important to understand that setting invisible boundaries is not about punishment or revenge. It is a proactive strategy for cultivating a life of clarity, peace, and authenticity. It is about choosing where your attention goes, who you allow close to your energy, and what behaviors you tolerate. When done correctly, invisible boundaries have the remarkable ability to make toxic people leave your life naturally, without confrontation, without drama, and without resentment. They disappear because they no longer find the fertile ground they need to thrive. Your life, in turn, becomes a space of calm, growth, and positivity, filled with people and experiences that truly support your journey and honor your worth. Focusing on self, growth, and positivity is one of the most effective ways to naturally repel toxic people from your life. When you commit to your personal development, your energy, mindset, and priorities shift in ways that make negativity less appealing and less impactful. Self-growth begins with a conscious decision to invest in yourself, your skills, your mental health, and your emotional resilience. It's about understanding that your life is your responsibility, and the more you cultivate positivity within, the less room there is for people who drain, manipulate, or belittle you. Growth is not merely about external achievements. It is an internal process of strengthening your mind, heart, and spirit so that external negativity cannot shake you. One of the first steps in focusing on self-growth is identifying areas in your life where you want to improve. This could be emotional intelligence, communication skills, physical health, financial literacy, or even spiritual awareness. By setting clear goals and taking deliberate steps to achieve them, you shift your focus from the toxic behaviors of others to your own trajectory. Toxic individuals often target those who are reactive, insecure, or uncertain about their direction. When you invest your energy in growing and bettering yourself, you signal to the world that you are no longer available for their manipulations because your priorities and standards have changed. Positivity is closely intertwined with self-growth. It is the lens through which you perceive the world and the energy you radiate to others. Cultivating positivity involves consciously choosing gratitude, optimism, and constructive thinking over negativity, complaints, and cynicism. This doesn't mean ignoring reality or pretending life is perfect. It means training your mind to focus on solutions, opportunities, and progress instead of getting trapped in toxic cycles. Toxic people thrive on negativity, but when your presence exudes calm, confidence, and optimism, they struggle to maintain their influence over you. Your positive energy acts as a shield that protects your peace and attracts people who uplift rather than drain you. Another essential aspect of self-growth is developing strong self-awareness. Understanding your emotions, triggers, and boundaries allows you to navigate challenging situations with clarity and composure. Self-aware individuals recognize when someone is being manipulative or draining, and they respond in ways that preserve their energy instead of escalating conflict. This skill is particularly effective because toxic people often rely on reactions, anger, guilt, or insecurity to gain control. By staying centered and self-aware, you remove the leverage they depend on, making their tactics ineffective and unappealing. Focusing on self-growth also means embracing continuous learning and adaptability. Life is constantly changing, and so are the people in it. By committing to learning, expanding your horizons, and evolving as a person, you ensure that your life remains dynamic, fulfilling, and aligned with your goals. Toxic people are often resistant to change or growth, and when they see that you are moving forward and improving, they feel out of sync with your energy. Your forward momentum creates a natural separation, allowing positive, supportive relationships to flourish while toxic ones diminish. Self-growth and positivity also enhance your emotional resilience. Life inevitably presents challenges, setbacks, and difficult interactions. By strengthening your resilience, you are less likely to be swayed by negativity, criticism, or manipulation. Resilient individuals maintain their composure, think strategically, and make decisions aligned with their values, rather than reacting impulsively to toxic behaviors. This resilience is a form of invisible power that draws respect and distance from those who would otherwise disrupt your peace. Surrounding yourself with supportive, like-minded people is another key element of growth. Positive individuals reinforce your mindset, motivate you to keep improving, and provide constructive feedback without judgment or manipulation. When you prioritize relationships that encourage growth and diminish those that drain energy, you create an environment where toxic people find it difficult to penetrate. Your circle becomes a reflection of your values and aspirations, and the more intentional you are about it, the less space there is for negativity to take hold. Practicing self-care is an integral part of self-growth. Caring for your physical, mental, and emotional well-being reinforces the boundaries you set and sustains the positivity you cultivate. Regular exercise, healthy nutrition, adequate rest, mindfulness practices, and hobbies that bring joy all contribute to a stronger, more resilient self. When you prioritize your health and happiness, you send a clear message to yourself and to others that you are committed to living your best life, and toxic influences no longer have fertile ground to take root. Another powerful tool in focusing on self-growth is reflection. Taking time to assess your experiences, relationships, and progress allows you to learn from challenges and adjust your approach. Reflection helps you identify patterns in your interactions and recognize when a relationship or situation is no longer serving your well-being. By doing so, you make informed choices about who and what deserves your attention. This reflective practice prevents toxic people from lingering in your life because you are always evaluating and refining the standards that guide your interactions. Visualization and goal setting amplify the effects of self-growth. By envisioning the life you want and setting clear, actionable goals, you direct your energy toward constructive pursuits rather than being entangled in negative dynamics. Toxic people are naturally drawn to chaos and distraction, but when your focus is firmly on building the life you desire, You create a momentum that naturally distances yourself from them. Your growth journey becomes a magnet for positivity and a filter for toxicity. Finally, embracing gratitude and celebrating progress is a critical aspect of sustaining self-growth. Recognizing your achievements, however small, reinforces your confidence and strengthens your sense of self-worth. Gratitude shifts your focus from what is lacking or negative to what is abundant and positive, further reducing the influence of toxic people. When you consistently nurture your personal development and maintain a positive mindset, you create a life that toxic individuals cannot penetrate or diminish. Self-growth and positivity are not just strategies, they are a lifestyle. They require commitment, patience, and persistence. But the results are transformative. As you cultivate these qualities, toxic people naturally drift away because your energy, focus, and boundaries no longer align with theirs. You create a life filled with people, experiences, and opportunities that elevate you, while negativity, manipulation, and toxicity quietly fade from your world, leaving space for growth, joy, and fulfillment.